This point is impressive.
I know Shauna got them made.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. I get a picture.
I'm gonna have them on face. You get nothing. You're gonna fly out and then smile and say. Actually, really funny. All these fences. Oh, you know, you actually put the report in there. Yeah. My name is Margo. I'm now Hi, this is Charles. I'm representing contact information. Pretty happy.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I guess we'll get started here. So, before I call the meeting to order, I just want a couple of housekeeping things here. Cell phones should be turned off. And then I just to remind everybody that, you know, this is a committee of the whole meeting, so as such, an informal meeting, but, there's zero tolerance towards any slander, abuse, or any form of harassment for anybody in the council or administration or for members of the audience or the gallery as well. So anyone that offended in this way, they will be asked to leave immediately. So I just want to make that very clear. Hope everybody's very respectful because that's the way we want it to be. Having said that, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Committee of the whole for August the 9th. And the first order of business is any agenda. Are there any additions or deletions that anybody has? None? Thank you very much. So, I guess for having heard that, I'll ask for a motion to.
I'll make the motion to accept the agenda as presented.
John, thank you very much. All in favor? That's carried. So, first order of business, Margo Haggerty.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. So, Leduc Regional Housing Foundation. So,
Yes,
you have the floor.
Thanks very much, and I appreciate accepting my request to come and speak to the council. I'm the director of the Regional Housing Foundation. I took over for Nancy Lang. Many people know Nancy. She worked here for 29 years. She held the position. So I was hired during COVID, and of course, didn't have the opportunity to come face to face with anyone, so I'm taking the opportunity to go to all the councils and so I can meet people and be able to chance to face to face with who's now actually leading that organization with the help of the board. And of course, Cory is one of our, oh, sorry, I should put it.
That's no, Cory's fine, yeah. I've been called far worse than Cory.
As this is very well. So what I'm doing is just going on, just giving a little bit of information about what's happening with the Housing Foundation, kind of what's focus right now and what we're going to be doing strategically over the next little while, and just sharing that information. So I'm teasing each counselor because this is just a need to read one. So next time you might see me and I might be asking for something. So this is a good one. So one of the things that sometimes happens is people automatically make an assumption that we work just with seniors. So I think it's so important for us to talk about what we actually offer for services. So we work with 7 municipalities, one of them obviously Thorsby, and we have 19 communities in those 7 municipalities. And when I refer to a community, that could be an affordable housing property, it could be social community housing, it could be senior self-contained, or it could be a lodge. So we have a real variety. We actually have 5 different types of housing solutions for people that are in need of housing. So supportive living, which is a lodge, we have 2 of those. One is in Leduc, and one of them is in Warburg. And then we have a variety of what they call senior self-contained. That's a government-owned property that we operate on their behalf, and specifically for people 65 years of age, and their rent is geared to income at 30% of their income. And so we manage those for the Alberta government. And then we have social and community housing. We have that only in the city of Leduc. That's 64 townhouses, and it's deeply subsidized for people that might be families that are in need of help. And they pay, like, based on the criteria that they fill out, they can pay approximately $120 a month to help get them up and going. So it's a pretty amazing program that we have, and it's always full up. Then we have our affordable housing. Those are the Regional Housing Foundation homes. We have 8 of those buildings throughout the region, and those are mostly apartment blocks. And what they are is rents that we try to keep in almost 20% below the market. So it's really to help people out, when things are getting tight. And I always take the time to say it's really important for us not to think of those people that might need it, but them, because it could be any one of us, truly any of us, that might be in need of that. It can be one crisis. A health crisis can happen that all of a sudden completely changes our lives. Today we could be doing okay economically. I always think of this one family that I've sadly watched and been a part of, where they were doing extremely well. They had a child that ended up being diagnosed with a case of cancer, and the medications were covered. And before long, they had to sell their home, they're living with us, and ended up with a divorce, which was far worse. It can be any one of us. And that's why I always try to share examples. There's another one of a wonderful woman that I got to meet who's worked her whole life in construction, been very successful, raised 5 kids mostly on her own. They're all very successful. She hurt herself at work, but didn't hurt herself in a situation where she was eligible for WCD. And all of a sudden, she found herself at 62 years of age with all she could receive for her revenue was $800 a month. Couldn't pay her own rent. She didn't want to tell her family, so she was embarrassed. So we got to meet with her and sit down, and we were able to use what we call a rent supplement program, where we offer her $450 a month to help pay for her rent. So it can be anyone, anytime. And so the reason I share that is because I don't want us to always think about, it's those people. It's any of us. And the success stories we have coming out of the Regional Housing Foundation are phenomenal. When I talk about our community social housing program, that's the 64 townhouses, many of those people are going to school instead of themselves. We just had two women that moved in with us and came out of difficult situations with young children. Both of them have actually graduated from new programs, and they moved out and they teach money, and they can't live with us any longer. It's not these wonderful programs. You just need a leg up. That's a really wonderful thing that we can do. And then we also help the people that we know might have some addiction issues and mental health issues that they may have to do for a long time. That's what we do. We're dealing with feelings that we wouldn't wish on anyone. So I always like to share that piece that grabs onto the heart, because it is amazing the work that's being done by this organization. We have an annual operating budget of about $11.5 million a year. We have 9 board members. 8 of those board members are elected councillors, and 1 is a member at large. So 7 municipalities have a representative, so Rouge County has 2, because they pay a little bit more than municipal requisition, so they want to have a little bit more authority over decision making, and can't blame them. There's 2 sets of financials. I always say that because I have to be careful when people go, oh, you got 2 sets of books, huh? But really, we run 2 sets of financials because we operate government buildings and then we operate our own. And so we run 2 financial statements each year. So that's just some interesting information about it. The majority of the funding comes from the government. So we have, as nobody in this room is surprised, as time's going on, those grants and opportunities are getting less and less for us. So right now, we have 102 people on the wait list for a 1-bedroom apartment. That's a lot. That's a lot. And we have several people on there for the 2-bedroom, and the 3-bedroom, 7 people on there for that supplemental. So we are sitting in the Leduc region right now with high needs for funding of some type for affordable housing. And so we're at capacity. We're full up on all of our buildings, except for our Warburg Lodge, and we're working on some partnerships to make that happen because we're very specific to the housing. But as you can appreciate, if we don't get some capital grants and some funding, we're not going to be able to build. And so that's some of the challenges that we're facing right now. So that's where I'm planting the seed. One of the things that we have is municipal requisitions that come forward from each of the councils, and we're very thankful for them. But one of the things that I've shared with our board, and just in June, I talked to the board, is that we have to take a really deep dive at this because we have to determine what kind of organization we want to be. We received a municipal requisition of $500,000 in total from the Leduc region. Just to put it in perspective, we are one of the larger management bodies in the province of Alberta, and we're receiving one of the lowest municipal positions. My counterpart in Sherwood Park is $6 million a year. So, right or wrong, that's just what it is. And so we have to think, what do we want to do?
I was just gonna, and it, I don't know if you recall exactly, but it also hasn't increased for quite a few years. to say the least. We're going on decades at this point, just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and even previous to that, so when they did do the last increase, they hadn't done one for many years previous to that. So, and it's not right or wrong, it's just what's happened. And we have to determine as an organization, and I put this back on our board members as the leader to drive this, what kind of organization do we want to do? Do we want to continue to develop? We can maintain, but if we want to continue to develop, we're going to have to look at something. So that's our next year's strategy. So last year we started with a 5-year strategic plan, and some of the things that we identified as pillars that we really want to work on. One of them is building awareness. And as I said, many people often jump to the conclusion that we're about seniors. And in fact, 30% of our clients are children. Kind of an eye-opener, isn't it? Kind of sad, isn't it? And so those are the things that we need to make sure people are aware of just a little bit more about who we are, making sure that, I don't know how many of you know, but Happy Haven is down the street, is Leduc Regional Housing Foundation. Is there a name on there? Do people know that? And do they understand that that's senior government? And I do here. And from Corey, who represents us very well at Advocates on behalf of Thorsby saying, you know, we need more housing, affordable housing. We have seniors housing. So we have to look at all these things. So we need to build awareness, make sure that people know what we offer, where we offer it, and what we can offer, and what our limitations are. And then the other piece of this that we need to be aware of is our partnerships and our collaboration. We have great partners, fantastic partners in the community. We don't celebrate this enough, and we don't share that enough. And so that's another thing that we're planning on working on a lot more strategically over the next few years. You know, making sure people are well aware of, you know, how many people are helping us and what kind of relationships that we do have. We talked about the infrastructure and the need for more. Our buildings are very well maintained for the most part. We did have a problem with the signage out here in Thorsby we had fixed, and we will get that up and getting that proper again. And the other one, of course, I just referred to is the financial challenges that we have. And what we are planning on doing is we will be starting to do a little bit more of a visible fundraising event annually. So we'll be starting to do something in the spring next year. And there'll be more information coming to the coastal conference will be invited to that. So that's kind of a quick snapshot of our challenges, the services that we offer, what's going on for us, and you know, some of the things that we need help with. And I'm open to any questions that you might have.
I just have one, I always kind of do you find that, there's a lot of people outside the county that are using your facilities? Like, is there any restriction? Like, if somebody from Edmonton all of a sudden needs a place to stay and they put their name on your list, they're welcome, I would imagine.
You know, we actually are dealing just with our own citizens as a we don't hear from anyone else.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is who we actually have. And then the other part, I was disappointed with myself because I forgot this at that Warburg Council meeting last night. The other thing that's always really important to remember, our lodges in Leduc and in Warburg, especially Leduc, a lot of them come from the different municipalities. Like they come from Thorsby, they come from Warburg, they come from, you know, Beaumont areas to come live in the lodge. And that's something that, so that's, I really, sometimes I think there's a perception of, well, that's in Leduc. No, they come into Leduc because that's where the health services are, especially this season. So we do house people from the county and the smaller municipalities in the city.
And if somebody wants to bring a parent, say from another province,
We would work with them.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's about community, right? That's what we're all about.
I was just gonna say, I think part of the restrictions are, so you couldn't just say, I live in Calgary and would like to bring, like, you have to have an immediate family member and or be a part of the community to have it be eligible. You can't just, somebody from Saskatoon can't just suddenly decide that they want a placement, right? There has to be, whether it's a them or an immediate family who's part of their caregiving
Yeah, the connection,
situation.
yeah.
So part of this is because the lodge program, especially, that's where some of that happens. You can't move into a lodge unless you actually have been a resident of Alberta. So there's restrictions. And then you start looking at areas. Now, if the lodge has, right now, if you were from Saskatoon and wanted to live in Warburg, I'd say sure, because we have, because we have vacancies, right? But Plainview, you wouldn't be able to. So it varies in like, you know, there's a lot of conditions around all this. It's quite stringent, the work that we do to make sure that we're getting the right people into the right type of housing solution.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any other questions from anybody? Irene, go ahead.
I'm working a few months, and I'm taking basically clean their health, yes, but not recommended to stay at home on their own, yes. If they're trying to change this, what would be the way to do?
Right now, five rooms available in you right now, but it's filling up very, very quickly since COVID. It has vacancy issues with COVID, and now it's filling up. So it would be a matter of what was available at that time, and then if there was something available, it would be immediate. So it's right, we're right on the cusp of filling up there, so it's 10 close rooms for the o'clock. Okay, with hospital patients get priority over. Not necessarily, not necessarily, no, not necessarily, it just depends. As I said, every individual case is about having. Option to turn it down, you know, and then somebody in their home that, you know, in a situation they're not safe any longer, but hospital, they're not safe anymore. So every individual has to work. Yeah, the hospitals aren't peaceful anymore. They aren't, but they do and they don't, right? There's that fine line, and we work with them. We work with the social workers in the hospital. That's all really good communication that we've done.
Anybody have any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for coming all the way down here to.
Well, and thank you again for allowing me to invite you to come in. I understand you have a busy meeting, so I'm going to shoot off. Thank you very much.
We'll accept these all for information later here. Okay, the next item, 3.2, Water for Life grant. And, yeah, so I want to read the letter that we got here from the Honorable Prasad Panda. She's the Minister of Transportation. And we actually received this letter on July the 19th, but we couldn't bring it publicized until they did all their work and put it publicized on their part. So I'm just going to read it here. It says, I'm pleased to advise your council that the following project will be funded under Water for Life. Regional water supply feasibility study to a maximum grant of $194,850. Based on your application submitted, the approved grant is 100% of the estimated eligible project cost. So there's no cost to Thorsby whatsoever. The final grant amount will be based on the actual eligible cost at the time of the project completion, up to the approved maximum grant amount. Budget 2022 moves Alberta forward by building health system capacity, getting more Albertans to work, and putting forward a balanced budget for only the second time in over a decade. Our government continues to make investments in hospitals, schools, roads, bridges, transit, and water infrastructure to support municipalities in improving critical local infrastructure, creating jobs, and stimulating the economy. Alberta Transportation staff will be in contact with the administration to formalize the funding agreement to undertake this work as part of the previous approval conditions. No cost increases can be considered. With this funding, the municipality commission will be solely responsible for all costs to use, operate, maintain, repair, and replace the project. So, you know, that's great news. I'm just I've got some notes of that, and then I'll take any, anybody have any questions. So currently, right now, the town authority's current water treatment system is basically operating idle and produces water at a rate of 6 liters per second or 15.8 gallons per second. We've got this from our people here, and our engineers will be looking at all this stuff. Our raw water capacity coming from the North Saskatchewan River is estimated to supply an additional 30 million gallons of raw water based on our current licenses, and that's per day. Our treatment facility has a capacity supply of 48 liters per second or 634 gallons per second with the existing water treatment plant membrane system. If we had to add one more membrane, which we can, the system here, that's the beauty of it, you just add another system. But with the treatment, for the plant was built, we can supply 75 liters per second or 1,189 gallons per second. The engineering assessment study, and that's going to be our select engineering. They've already, they're the ones that helped us prepare this, so they'll be doing the study on it. Review and report on the current infrastructure and the servicing needs of regional water supply system originating from Thorsby, providing high quality treated water to the region. Existing infrastructure relating to the supply of treated water and the treatment of the associated wastewater for the communities of Thorsby, Village of Warburg, Village of Breton, Hamlet of Mulhurst Bay, communities around Pigeon Lake, and the lands of Mascowitz. Now, that's going to be in there. That doesn't mean that they're going to accept it. It's going to have to be, you know, it's going to have to be beneficial, and they may say, no, we don't want any part of it. But I mean, that's ideally, this is what we're trying to do with this. The upgrades would be assessed for 25-year life, and the study will provide the information for the next grant. So this is just the first step. There's a lot more money involved, and if we can get something going, then we will apply it as needed going forward. It would provide preliminary design of the new infrastructure that we would need to provide adequate water supply and water treatment, including supply the mains, possible booster stations, pressure regulating stations, reservoirs, new reservoirs, regional truck fills, so bulk stations, pump houses. Future expansion will also be part of the study over and above existing communities. This is the first step in formalizing a regional water system capable of providing high quality treated water to communities within the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance and extending into the Battle River Watershed Alliance, with the areas surrounding Pigeon Lake within the Pigeon Lake Watershed Association. And that's just a brief synopsis. You know, they're going to start on this thing right away, and I don't know, Donna, if you can maybe give me some more timing on it there, or what's happening, or anything you want to add on there?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. We're going to start project managing it probably next week or the week after. So we can look at the milestones, billing milestones from the engineers, project completion dates, management timelines, Gantt charting, that sort of thing. We're gonna plan it out step by step. The grant was 62 pages thick. I mean, it's not confidential now. It's all produced, so we can tell you that the ministry was very interested in getting our grant, so much so that when we were going to apply for it, we realized we found it. We only had 4 days to get it in. They granted a 3-week extension, the Ministry of Transportation. So We made sure we had that in on time, and, the next grant based on this feasibility study, we'll be looking at a grant for a water wastewater study. So we know what's going wrong and what's going right there, so everything is systematic, and it sounds kind of boring. I kind of get excited about infrastructure, I don't know why, but anyway, it's systematic so that we're not leaping all over the place and fixing things here and there and doing willy-nilly things here and there. It's all based on, project based. We're hoping, if all goes well, because there's, the feds just, let loose a whole bunch more money in infrastructure, I think 241 billion. And we're gonna take some advantage of that too. It would be nice by, next fall or the spring after the pipeline. And, I can tell you that Mulhurst Bay is very excited about this. The Seven Summer Village is very excited, and champions of this. Mr. Mayor mentioned that, if, Thorsby, Warburg, and Kalmar aren't interested, that is fine. We can pipeline close to them so that they want it in the future. We pull sweeter water out of our intake than EPCOR does downstream. So our water is very desirable. And if you notice, the engineer said our treatment plant runs at idle. In other words, it produces just a third. There's a huge plant that's just at idle. We're going to ramp it up. So it's our staff team is very excited. Everybody in the staff team is very excited. We hope all of you are as excited as we are, because this is the chance to get Thorsby on the map with their water, and we're pretty committed.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or anything you want to? Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Well, I guess one of the first questions, of course, is what's going to do for our residents' water bill. Number one. Number two, the selling of water, we've been kind of handcuffed. Our water's been a little expensive for water haulers, I'm talking about. And of course, the loading of the water hauler has such a small line that is that immediately in the future, or I guess what are you spending the money on? I'll let what first.
I know exactly what you're asking. It does nothing for any of these. It is another feasibility study, just like the three that you saw when you were on council previously. It is a third feasibility study of the existing feasibility studies that hopefully says something different this time.
Right, and that's what we hope. I mean, this is actually the infrastructure and everything, right? And the bulk water and if we can get the bulk water going in there, and then if we get a system going here, even if we get one customer and the government takes over and we build a co-op, what it does, it drops off $750,000 off our budget. Isn't that what we've got for water right now? Thereabouts, Cindy? What's our cost for water, like to operate and everything in the plant? I
don't have it in.
I know you don't. But I think it's about $750,000. So if you take $750,000 budget, guess what it's going to do to our water prices for everybody in town? That's like putting $750,000 into our bank. We can lower our water prices. We can plan every year for infrastructure, other infrastructure, streets, whatever, right? We've got some money. And we don't have to tax the death out of everybody in town, because right now that's our only source of
That's
income.
the Ken's question. This is not anything to do with any of that. This
No, it
is
isn't.
look at a preliminary study.
Correct. There's nothing new, but this is down the line, which you were asking me, Ken, what does it do for the resident? At the moment, nothing.
I was just wondering whether you have a time schedule. I mean, obviously, it all depends on a lot of things.
Well, it depends on a lot of things, but I mean, it's the first step, and you have to take the first step. And it's very, in my opinion, it's the most positive thing that we've had in a lot of years. And if it can pan out the way we want it to, it's going to be a bonus authority.
Because that's one of the questions I had said, like, what's different this time? Like, I keep hearing, because I don't know what's gone in the past. And I kept saying, what's different this time? And I keep being told, like, the government is hot to get water to these communities, and it's a big thing now, and they're throwing money at communities to get it going. And so now it looks like an excellent opportunity.
I know Old Toast just formed the co-op. They had one. There's one at the West Lock, correct? Alexi, Indian Band, they've got a bunch of, I think they've got 8 or 9 bulk water stations out there. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I can tell you exactly what this study is gonna do. It is a first step. And, it is to assess the infrastructure so that we know we have to build in the future to do this. And it's assessing what everybody has for infrastructure, so that we know that we have a baseline, so we know what we're dealing with. So when the next grant comes along, we know we have to upgrade. You have to have that so you know what to upgrade. It is not a water study. It is not determining if we can pump. It is not determining if we can even supply, because we can't. There's no issue with that. But what we don't know is what Mulhurst has for infrastructure. How much do they have to upgrade? How much of a grant do we have to help them upgrade? And you know, it's a grant cost, not another cost. What is the 7 Summer Villages interested? What do they have to do? Do they have to upgrade their lagoons? Do we have to upgrade certain things to get this water? So it's looking at what we have and what we have to upgrade. And then the next grant is either upgrading and plus our water wastewater study, so we know what's going wrong in Thorsby. Yes, we all know we get plugged sewers and we flood, but we have to know exactly where it's at so we can do it properly. And then the next is running lines for water. And it's been quite successful around the province, and I beg to differ some things any other feasibility.
And you're right. I mean, there's a lot of tangible, absolutely, there's no question about it. But I mean, you have to start somewhere, and this is the start. And if we can get it going the right way, that's the hope. Go ahead, Eric.
This issue has been discussed a couple of times before, but I'm rather confused, and I don't know anything about the technicalities of it, although I keep hearing we can't sell water to somebody else because that water has to come back to us. Is that right?
I don't believe so. I mean, if you form a co-op, you can send sell water to whoever you want, you know. There's no, are you talking about from one watershed to the next watershed? Yeah, there's no stipulations whatsoever. I know that, you know, like, for example, like, for Saskatchewan, there's a lot of companies there, they're just crying for water. They have the river right beside them. They can't get anything because nobody has a license. Guys like, Kiera and, all the, you know, Dow Chemical and companies like that out there, you know, they're getting water, but they're maxed out. And I'm not saying they come to Thorsby, but, you know, we have to try. Go ahead.
Is there any end date for that feasibility study? Is it just open-ended whenever they figure they'll complete it, or is there a deadline set? A target?
Yeah, first progress payments have to be into the government before March 23rd. So we hope to be done by April for sure, or sooner. Because the water wastewater study hopefully will come in about the same time, and that will take probably a couple months. And that's just for Thorsby. So we're targeting April. Could be sooner. It's a pretty hard project.
You know, like, one thing is, you know, Corey, I know what you're saying there, but I mean, one thing this is gonna give us some hard answers. I don't think it's just another study. I don't believe that for 1 second. And I think that, you know, if we get in there and we get it going, and even if we get one customer and the other guys, once you get it built and you get something started, other people will look at it. And if it's economical, feasible for them, why would they do it? You know, why would you rather have a water well that you don't know what's going to happen with it, and you got to pay for it? If you can get treated water to your door at no cost to you, and you just pay for the usage, why wouldn't you do it? I know you don't have to believe in me, but go ahead.
Well, I know for, I got an email from the government for, and explaining this water for life, which I will put in the paper, tomorrow too. It's millions of dollars that they're putting in. Like, this is huge. I don't think this has been done for ever. Like, this is not something that we should take lightly, and I'm looking forward to proving Corey wrong. And sorry, because I just believe in this so much, and I think this is just the best thing that we could ever. I was on council years ago when this was started up with water. We've been trying for years, yes, but nobody's really followed through with anything, and there haven't been the opportunities like this. Like, this is something that is is great for Thorsby, and thank you very much for your hard work, because I'm really looking forward to keeping up on the way here, so thank you. Thank you. Very much.
I want to not prove everybody wrong, but I think it's the only, we know the story.
Our only savior.
We don't, do sometimes. We can't survive on taxation. We can't. So this is the first step, and hopefully we can turn it around and, give everybody, well,
Maybe one of the main things that comes to not just water, there's other things by change, other things we can use now. Make money to get our new West Metro out of the gutter and walking crowd down the street. Water is just one of them. And with the Water for Life people, the lady that's starting that, it's very interesting to listen to what we have here in the town and what people are drinking in a reserve or west of Calgary for Tuesday, and just out of Canmore that isn't in the reserve.
This just 2 years ago, Dave,
Oil water.
where like, I mean, Enoch was no water, no clean water.
Then I had a chat with the regional commission guy in Westlaw. And he said, "You know what your water license is for?" I said, "Well, no, I haven't got an idea. I know water's traded on the stock market in Alberta for more than what we charge you, but I don't know what I want." Did some quick figuring based on what we can draw out of it. North Saskatchewan River based on our permit SDOT, which by the way, you cannot get ever again in spot.
no, I don't.
We haven't been able to for over 1 year. And he figured it all out by gallons and what the going rate for water is on the stock exchanges is. Your water license can draw out of the North Saskatchewan River is 21 million gallons. Now, I'm not saying that Thorsby should, jumping up and down. No, I'm happy we have it. We have a facility that sits there and uses 10% of its use. It's using 100. It's the same cost whether we're making 10% of it or using 10% of it as 100 pretty much. So our water will go down in town. The people that have to do the infrastructure, like our church camp is one of them and one of the summer villages that's on board. We have to pay for hooking up to that, just like we did the sewer. And we're willing to do that because we've been having to drop our well every 3 years because the aquifer is getting sucked so bad. We've killed over half of the natural springs in Pigeon Lake. So it's time, real time, and right with the Water for Life people, get the money and get the study done as quick as possible. And hit the government up for the pipe going in the ground.
And you certainly don't know until you try. You don't try, you'll sit back here and say, well, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it all before.
Go ahead, Norm.
Well, interesting aside, when you mentioned First Nations, Enoch, I'm meeting with Chief and Council tomorrow at 10.
Regarding the.
They're getting posed by the city.
They are getting absolutely decimated by the city of Edmonton. Then I'll have another contact with, that's the chief with the 4 bands. I think it's probably Sampson or Irvington chief. So I'll be meeting with later in the fall because they've got some ceremonial land just up the Malhurst there. And that comes with federal money. As I mentioned in the last council meeting, Alexis Dakota Sioux out at Lac St. Anne, $12.5 million just to run pipes. And they're producing water and they're producing a co-op. So, we're gonna.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions on the water? 3.3, fees and service draft bylaw. So, the bylaw is just there, it's not for first reading, it's for everybody to look at it, and then, we will, if you have any comments, get them back to administration, and then at the next, regular meeting when we vote at, we will be, asking, we want to comment further on it, you know?
Yeah, sure, Mr. Mayor. So we have some tweaking to do with this one as well. Administration has met and realized that we didn't put the bulk water in here. So there's things you're gonna catch that we didn't. And certain things don't have GST and certain things do. So we have to be careful of that a little bit. But the reason we brought this bylaw together is we've been operating off of an information sheet. And because these services are part and parcel of finance and governance, by the budget with council, we want to have a bylaw stating this so we're consistent. And if we need to change it, we can amend it, or we can go over it once a year with the next budget. This is what currently the fees are. Some of them we're charging. We're also very well benchmarked in the area, so we're not overcharging certain things. We took a lot of things out of some of the sheets that we were following, a lot of the FOIP stuff. We are required to charge a fee by the FOIP legislation. However, when I talked to the FOIP commissioner, I said, if it's in the public eye, why would we have to have a FOIP? And he said, you don't. He said, be smart about it. And if it's all public, he said, why make things difficult for folks, right? So just provide it. So there's lots in here for sure. And we probably forgot a few things. We've got to go over it again, but your input is going to be valuable. And also take a look at the pricing. I mean, we benchmarked it, but you might have some ideas. And one thing that we are recommending, that might be a little controversial, is we go from, starting January 1st, we go from a dog license for life to a yearly dog license. We track administratively. It's tough. And I hate, the staff team is finding it very difficult to phone folks and say, okay, we're just checking up. Is your dog still with you? It's not a real fun call, I know. So we want to reinstate that. Preliminarily, we are in negotiations for an MOU with the pet store down the street for a shelter and a home for animals that come in. With this morning, and very, very desirous of working with us. And why go up to another kennel when we have something right down the street? They're excited about working with us, so that's pretty exciting. So please be picky and please be ruthless. We're happy. We're happy to have your input so we can put it together and attempt first reading, possibly second at the regular at the end.
Thank you. Dave, did you have a question?
No, for nuisance dog. Is that like barking?
A lot of times the nuisance dog is getting out all the time, perhaps biting, and under or running stray and a stray dog. That a barking dog is a little different because you have to have a 30-day bark law. Yeah, we have to get rid of bark law.
It's defined in the animal control bylaw. There's a very specific what counts or what doesn't count. It is defined, but in a separate bylaw.
Right, I'm just recounting information.
My question is, so if you have any drop off. But we have to eat all that, like it has to on how, you know, sit here, like, do we get charged for that?
What you typically get charged for is the owner that picks it up, takes the feed, or the new owner, like when we adopt a cat or something, like when we adopted our kids, we had to pick up the feed. We're part of that, people with the shipping, the neutering, etc. Sometimes though we find that an owner pretends they found the dog wandering, but it's theirs, because they don't want to see the fees, and that's up to myself and the bylaw officer to figure that out. We have one right now that's a possibility. So if the animal is injured that comes in under the Animal Protection Act, we do have to pay for vet fees if we pick it up as a town. And so I'm going to go see the vet in Breton to make an interview and talk to them about that. However, if the owner comes to get the animal, then the animal's not released until all the jail and bail fees and vet fees are paid. Yep.
All right, any other questions? So if everybody can look that over, and we'll be talking about it at the meeting in the next meeting. So 3.4, commercial development center, and this is kind of the same thing, we talked about this before. And honestly, when we think of this one too.
For sure, and just a correction on the RC, these aren't for first reading, it's a regular council meeting, so I was a little ahead of myself, I apologize for that. So the last time we were in, committee of the whole, we talked about the commercial incentive for tax relief. And, we've been doing some benchmarking of course, and really that policy should be in a bylaw because it is a tax, relief is part of financial governance policy. Administration was not comfortable having it as a policy, simply because council grants the exemption, and we wanted to put a bylaw around it. So it was jointly determined that he wanted to take a look at it, and so we'll just go through it quickly. Basically, we're calling it the commercial tax incentive. By the way, this is our new bylaw format, so it's a little easier to read, a little nicer to look at. Has more definitions. It has criteria for exemption, so who gets to apply for one and what's the criteria they have to apply for it. Of course, we have the new business established in the existing building, new business construction and business expansion incentive. We have that in here. We have a few more definitions. Part 5 is the application for an exemption. So how does the applicant apply? What do we have to look at in our checklist of administration for a complete application? We found that the application that we're currently using is not sufficient, quite frankly, and needs to be a little more robust. Then consideration of the application, part 6, is we take a look at the application to make sure it meets the criteria, and then we bring it to council. And you review the application and provide a resolution, whether you approve of it or you don't. What we're proposing is new business construction, 50% exemption in the first year, 25 second, 15 third. New business established in an existing building, 15 first year, 25 first year, 15 second. So that's something for you to ponder. And the exemption we're recommending must not exceed 3 consecutive tax years. And if there's a resolution passed refusing the application, we have the reason for refusal. It just is a sound practice for this. And we provide written notice of a refusal to an applicant. You look at consideration of an incentive agreement. So if you pass a resolution, we draft a tax incentive agreement in accordance with the resolution. And it has all the outlines in section 7.2. In part A, consideration of canceling the incentive agreement. The other policy didn't have this in it. So, for example, we couldn't determine if they still qualified for the exemption if they did not meet or cease to meet any of the criteria that was written for them in the agreement or form the basis of granting the exemption. So right now they could have an exemption for all 3 years and not meet the criteria, and we're out of money as a municipality, or tax arrears are owing with respect to qualifying property. So nobody can apply for this if they're owing taxes. I mean, other than what you typically owe in a year, but if you're behind, and if there's a breach of any condition of the agreement. Part 9 is consideration of review of the incentive agreement. So if it's been rejected by administration on the basis that it's incomplete, applicants can apply to you as council within 14 days, and they can appeal, which is typical. And but they have 14 days, and we would notify them of their 14 days in writing, so it's not a secret thing. It's part 3 repeal. Okay, so got you number, sorry. It repeals the 4 policy so far, and then in the schedules we have the application requirements. So it tells us what we have to have for documentation to build the package for council to approve. Schedule B is the application form for non-residential tax incentives, and you can see it's quite robust, a little more than what you saw the last few times. And because it's in a bylaw, it becomes steady, it becomes consistent, it becomes a little more legal. And then Schedule C is the agreement, so it's an actual agreement that they would fill out, and we just have to put the severability and so forth in the agreement. So it gives them all what they have to do. So if you compare this bylaw to your commercial development incentive policy, you can see this has more robust teeth in it, but it also gives more direction to council and administration to make sure that those applying have everything ready for the application, that they are they're appropriate for the application, and if they have a good experience applying too, so that they know. We also put in the fees and services bylaw, many municipalities charge an application fee to apply to have a tax exemption for commercial. We just put it in there, as $500. Some are charging $1,500 for a commercial tax exemption. Because it costs money for administration. Now, I'm not saying that we should, it's just that. So you take a look, and we'll be happy to entertain your changes for first reading that later.
So I ask anybody, we can make changes at the meeting, but if you can get ahead of time to administration, give a chance to have it ready for the meeting, that would be ideal. Questions, anybody? Anything? Okay. 3.5, communities in bloom tree location.
Hey, sorry. one sec. So this is the old one. So in the new one, we're not gonna be doing any renovations.
No, that comes at another time.
Okay,
The
okay,
draft one.
okay.
Yep. Thanks for that question.
On to the community in blooms. Once again, Don, I'm sorry if you don't get tired of talking, if you go.
No, it's all good. No, this is fun. So at the last council meeting, of course, we had a planned location for the 350 room. And council indicated they were pleased with that, which is fine, and we accepted that. I went and looked at the grant, and the grant specifically states, that's the $25,000 grant that Warburg administered with the trees we planted on trails on the path. So we went looking on the path, and you can see, you'll notice a little better than me, but it's the first picture. You've got it in color, which is awesome, but that's the, sorry, I was calling it a gazebo, but it's the photo booth. If you go follow it through the hedge, you can see the break in the hedge, and you follow the path in the next picture down, and we maintain that trail. Everything else is wild. Keep going. You keep following that trail to the end. That's where the trail inside the trees goes. Inside the trees. We're suggesting the trees get planted along that break in the back there as the trail is going into the trees. It's not on any kind of urban reserve land. It's not impeding the wild grasses. It's right along the tree line on the path trailhead. So we had a bunch of other locations that they just weren't accessible. So we're suggesting this spot here. Now we don't necessarily need a resolution, and the council wishes to have one, and we have to wait to plant trees until when it's regular. Or council can just indicate that we carry on now that you've seen what we're doing, but that's entirely up to council how you wish it to respond.
Does anybody have any?
I know the prior plan was to make it like a sitting orchard hangout kind of area, and now it's gonna be a wild area with nothing sitting, no clean areas.
Yeah.
Just a wild area with fruit in it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, the other thing we can do though, and I'll put that out here too, is in the middle of the trails, we can cut out a sunny orchard, kind of what we call a copse, right? You cut out some of the trees and put a path inside and call it an orchard inside the path, inside the trees where you create sunlight. And that would possibly work too. I know, so do we really do, and we want to find the right solution. The grant did say on the trail, but we could certainly cut a orchard copse in the middle of the trees on the path and plant them in there as well. But clearing, I guess, we'll call it clearing.
Carol, what are you guys thinking about this?
Well, it's very nice, scoped it out, and we walked around and we kind of thought that the trees would be best planted along the other tree line on the edges, nothing in the middle, so it's still an open area. But that way the trees are protected, the shrubs will be protected. If people are walking along the trail want to come into that area, they're welcome to, but they can keep going. They don't have to come into that area. And you know what, we could put a few benches or a picnic table in there. There's no reason why we couldn't, if it, as long as it's out of the way. And but yeah, I think it's an ideal spot for an orchard.
Anybody have any objections to them doing this here, so we can imagine those, you're
Or
going to
trees.
get those things planted pretty soon, so.
I have no actual objection, I just, knowing a little bit about trees, I feel like there might be some drainage and soil issues in the given area that people might want to consider, but soil, I mean, the viability of the tree growing is not my point. Yes, as far as objections, I have none, I just cautionary note, I don't know that it's acceptable drainage for fruit-bearing trees in that area.
Yeah, good point. That's something you guys will have to figure out. I mean, you're not gonna plant it in a hole or, you're in a swamp or, so, having here no objections for anybody else, I think, we don't need a resolution, so you guys, tomorrow morning, can plant some trees. We'll carry on. All right. Perfect. Very much. Okay, and we'll just, I think we'll go with council reports before we ask for the accept all of these for information, so. We'll go all in one shot, if that's okay with everybody. Council reports, first one would be myself, so, for the month of July, I'd like to report the following activities. On July 2nd, attended the ribbon cutting event at the Seniors Club, and their new faces off, and Ken was there and he gave a nice little speech for everybody there. Emily Smith and the local were there, both in attendance, and Phyllis, as Gerald reported there, she was duly finished coins from for part of her deal there, and every one of the seniors received a medallion as well, or a coin. So it was very good, and as Ken alluded to, you know, the whole thing was paid through grants and stuff, so it didn't cost the seniors anything out of their pocket. Perfect. So thank you very much for that. July 10th, I attended the 100-year anniversary luncheon and celebration for the New Life Christian Fellowship Church. Pastor Glenn McGrath at church at the Thursday Community Center. It was quite a long procedure. I was probably there from 12:30 to about 4:30. They were attended. There was probably about 80 to 100 people. It was pretty good. You know, I actually kind of enjoyed parts of it. Very good. Emily Smith gave a congratulatory speech on behalf of the province. And Emily Soroka gave a speech as well and presented a plaque from the federal government. Myself, I gave a speech as well and presented a plaque on behalf of the town of Thorsby. You can see all those things. They also got a scroll that was in glass from the Lieutenant Governor General. And there were several speakers throughout the program. Some of the people were, what would I say, long-winded, but they were like 45.
That's probably a nicer way to say it.
But all in all, it was a very good thing, and it's quite an accomplishment when you think about when they started talking. Some of the speakers started talking about the history going back to 1922, was a long time ago.
100 years later.
For 5 minutes, no.
All in all, it was pretty good. Then we had our town meeting on the 2nd, 12th, and a regular meeting on the 26th, and then the 30th, I went to the Historical Society, Sam and Margaret Cobb's home. We had no volunteers, so I went down and we sold 50-50 tickets down at the Pigeon Lake Music Festival. That was interesting for sure.
I did it last year, it was fun.
Yeah, it was actually. It was probably 1,000 people there, and I got to listen to music for free. That's it. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, Councilor Gilbert.
In summer, there's not a lot of meetings, the regular meetings here, phone calls, emails. I have had a surprising number of phone calls, emails, and drop-ins from residents. I typically get a lot, but it's been quite a lot more, I suspect, largely because, you know, tax bills. But that's the only thing of worth note is that I actually have had a fairly significant number of such drop-ins and phone calls lately. But other than that, in summer, there's not a lot of meetings.
Thank you very much. Questions? Mr. Miller, you got anything for us?
Like Corey said there, our committee board, same thing for the month of July and August. We have no meetings. We're going to pick up again in September. And then just our committee as a whole and our council meeting this month. So,
Questions? Somebody? Councilor Mustard.
Well, I've attended the regularly scheduled council meetings. On July 20th, I attended the training session here that was put on by Jesse regarding the minutes and agenda program. July 21st, we had a Chamber of Commerce meeting. The chamber is growing as new businesses have joined the membership. There are still more to join. The chamber shall seek becoming a board of trade. The bylaws will be updated. The chamber shall pursue a partnership with Leduc District. Annual membership has been $90. This amount will increase as of September 30th to $150. Members shall have benefits. The chamber sign shall remain where it is situated and be updated as soon as possible. November 26th is being planned as the chamber gala event. December 2nd is being planned for Customer Appreciation Night or Christmas in the Village. And a Christmas shopping spree is being proposed. Communication by Facebook or website is being established. So, Sean.
Questions? All right.
As far as the chamber goes, I mean, it's something to think about. I mean, it has been incorporated under the Board of Trade Act of 1936. There's a certificate existing now.
Well, where is it?
I don't have it somewhere on the
Well,
chamber,
and I did
but it
one-
does exist.
I did a new one before, and so we can't apply for anything because we don't have a number, so I'm trying to apply to get benefits.
I'm just saying, my point is, there is a certificate, it does exist in town. I haven't been on the executive of the chamber in a number of years. I don't personally have it, but I do know it exists, and I do know it's within this community. Just throwing it out there for your information.
Well, if I could find it, that'd be awesome and save us some paperwork, but 1938, I don't even know if it counts anymore.
That's the legislation it was incorporated under. I want to say it was 42. I can't remember the name of the signatories to it, but there is a physical certificate that does exist from way back before anyone in this room was alive.
So when the nuance report reflect that?
It's been properly recorded and
Yeah.
transacted throughout. I can't say, but I do know like the physical actual documentation does exist and is within this municipality somewhere. I have personally physically seen it and held it at various points.
Do you think it would be in a safety deposit box at a bank or in
I don't
somebody's
know.
personal?
I've never been the secretary or treasurer and have never had prolonged
So
access
did
to,
you-
but do know it physically exists. I have physically seen.
So you saw it while you were on the chamber board, and what year was that? And who was the secretary?
10 years ago, I
And do you
don't
know
know.
who the secretary was at that point?
I can't say for sure though. You have to go back. There used to be some chamber stuff stored up in that room behind the lion's den. I believe at some point in the last 5-6 years, I believe that was all collected and sorted through. Again, I wasn't on the chamber at that time. I can't say who collected what, where it went. I wasn't on the chamber.
I think there were some people cleaning things out over the years, and I totally thought.
So you guys are on the right track.
Well, and we can start fresh, it's all good, but thank you for that information.
Okay, what's the rest?
Okay, I attended the regular meetings in July. On July 18th, there was an food bank meeting to discuss and vote on the purchase of additional bays for them to have more room in a kitchen and such. So there was that. And then I as well came on July 20th to the office to do the iCompass training with Jesse. My question on this front is, we're so old school. I think the whole purpose of iCompass is so that we don't have to bring our devices, right?
Half and half. So half of the purpose is to have more accessible minutes and agendas for the public, and then half of it is to hopefully reduce people.
Because I know I think we've gone backwards, because I know prior councils would get a copy of the agenda and then they go into their devices. Like, wouldn't that be the smart way to go? Question mark?
Bring it in. use it.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
I can bring it in.
because we're still doing this.
Yeah, you don't have to.
No, but I'm just saying, to us, would this not be a good thing to think about looking at? Well, that's, I'm on a screen all day, right?
Share a screen, by all means, bring in your tablet or
But I mean-
computer, set it up and use it.
But we have to establish what people want.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
one way
want
or
the
the
other
other.
2 pages of
Of
printed
course, it's
paper,
2 pages,
or if you're
a lot
fine
higher
with
server.
looking on your phone.
Yeah, but it's a cost, I mean.
Yeah, it costs us money.
Like, we printed how many agendas?
Mm.
All right, everything is 62,
One less.
That's 14.
we have one extra song here on the board.
Get the ink, the paper, the manpower,
We
like,
pay so much per print, per page.
like, that's a lot of money.
We pay for paper. Yeah, and the color.
Like,
ink
that's
is
kind of
more
the point
expensive.
of us having
Yeah.
devices.
No, and that's why we wanted to go this way, and I think
Yeah.
that's why Jesse did the training.
Yeah.
And so I was gonna eventually send an email saying, we're not printing paper, you wanna print it, you print your own.
And are we able to connect to the?
Yeah, that would be great too.
With the agenda?
Because I think that was the other thing too, they had, the
Mhm.
big screens, right? Like, let's get on the technology, like, let's move out of the nineties or wherever we are right now.
You have any problem with that?
Yeah, that's where we're headed. So.
Okay. Okay, so I just, side note, and then for public relations type stuff, Counselor Mustin and myself, attended the Thorsby Hotel, bar for the arm wrestling competition. We, volunteered a 7-hour day for the Communities in Bloom, fundraisers for the trails. I believe it was for the trails, which is a very exciting event. I actually wasn't sure what to expect, but it was really cool. Seeing little kids arm wrestling. And I was surprised, like 7 years old up to
Oh, yeah.
seniors, right? And lots, like, the world, someone that was going to France for the world was there, like, it was really, actually really cool. I like,
Arm wrestlers from all over Alberta that came together.
yeah. Like, they advertised it as a bikers arm wrestling thing, but no, and that may deter people from coming to it.
It's a very serious event.
Yeah, and I mean, there was people of all ages, there was like, we had our Canadian champion there, we had the person going to the world, like 17-year-olds, like, it was pretty
Do
cool.
you know if it was bigger than last year? Like, if it,
It was similar
because
size.
last year was the first year, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know, it was real, I thought it was cool. Plus, I got to hang out with Tracy. What more could a girl ask for? And then on July 21st, I attended senior speak for fun.
Thank you. Any questions on that? I forgot one thing on mine here that everybody knows that the AMA is coming up here, September 21st to the 23rd.
I was gonna add it to the agenda.
We'll be on for the regular because we'll have to vote if somebody's gonna go, but I'm just gonna say if anybody's thinking and going, we've got some money in our budget there, but I don't believe that we should send more than one person, myself, and then we should come back and report, but if there's more people that wanna go, if you're thinking of going, we'll bring it up and it'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. So, and then the other thing I just was gonna mention, go ahead, Corey.
Well, I was just saying, it's right, it's in Calgary this time,
It is.
which incurs travel costs and hotel costs.
We budgeted for all of it.
We don't have money in our budget. We had a significant tax increase. We don't have money in our budget.
There is
I don't
actually,
think we should, cool, you're saying there's money for that specific thing, but the fact is overall, our budget is actually we don't have money in our
Okay,
budget.
well, we can
I
vote on
I
it,
don't
we can
think.
discuss it.
So that's something I'm just throwing it out there, so.
Right, it's not just going to the conference, there's hotels and mileage too, everyone keep in mind.
but it's
That's,
budgeted, like it's budgeted for.
And we're all new counselors, and it
There's
doesn't hurt to
$6,000
get
budgeted
information.
for
Council
conference fees. And then there's, I think it was 25 or 3,000 budgeted for
Mileage
travel.
and food, yeah. I get what you're saying, Corey, but we're all new counselors.
Which is why we went last year though, when it was in
Well,
Edmonton, there wasn't.
Yes,
there wasn't
you guys were
the same
able
cost.
to attend, some weren't, so
Like,
like,
you got something?
Yes, actually, I want to touch on this because I was a new school trustee, and I understand this whole, I think it's very important to go to these things. I know that it costs tax dollars, but it's worth it. I learned more at these conferences than I learned throughout the whole year. You learn from people that when you went through, and even staying in hotels, even if it's just in Edmonton, it is important to interact with people. I learned so much from people in other towns, the things, how they're doing things. All this information and all this knowledge you bring back and it helps. It's not something.
it's not a waste of money to just go have a fun time, it's
No,
actually
that's
to
not what it's
learn.
about, and
bring
especially if you're gonna bring reports back and actually go, like, if you're gonna just go around, different story. But I think it's very important, and this is just me, but just as a previous trustee, so I'm just letting you know.
Well, and I do know for a fact, like one of the prior councils, when they had attended, they were able to apply for grants that brought in over $100,000 of recycle and garbage bins into our community, which didn't cost us anything. And that was, how much did it cost to go to that function compared to what it brought? Yeah, like it's a big, important thing. We're all new. We always need to learn. We always need to network. I think the cost, what we learn, what we gain from it outweighs what it costs our community. If the community is happy with a bunch of us that have no experience in this whatsoever and don't want us to get any training, to me, that seems like a really bad idea.
That's not why we elected you back to learn.
Oh, that's why I brought it up. So
And
anybody,
it's bare minimum.
Think about
We
it.
send one, then we send one.
yeah, think about it anyhow, and then we'll have it on the agenda for the next meeting, and we can vote on it, and we'll go from there. And the only other thing I want to say is that, for the historical side, I believe they raised about $5,000.
Oh, good, for the 50-50?
Yeah, very good.
I can't remember.
All right, can I have a motion to accept 3.1, 3.10 for information?
I'll make the motion to accept 3.1, 3.10 as information.
Thank you, all in favor? Carried. Item 4.1, DA report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, some of the points in my report we've already discussed, which is fine. Probably 22 Fortis and ADCO are working in the area, and they send us all their work orders, and they let us know what they're doing, and then we approve them. So it's just a lot of maintenance. After the heavy rains and the water treatment plant operation consultants, our public works manager, and myself, engineer, we conducted a debrief of the situation and posed the question if any other mitigating circumstances could have been conducted. The main issue is we need upgrades to our storm water system and a gravel resource, and we talked about that earlier. We figured the cost would be about $40,000 for the study for a grant, and it doesn't take probably 4 months to complete. Our tax roll collection is underway. There'll be at least 2 tax sales. We'll be starting the paperwork before. 1 tax sale has already gone to legal. One is a little more complicated because it's in the state. Utility payments and penalties are being applied and adhered to, and notices in the target have been consistent. As to the process of online banking payment, we just put another one in this weekend and really simplified it a little easier for folks so that they realize that if they're paying on the 31st, it doesn't get to the bank, it doesn't get to us for 2 to 3 days, business days. So just clarifying that will make it a little easier. Inquiries are coming into our office for building opportunities, and again, once we have development permits, I'm happy to advise those in open council. And of course, we talked about the fees and services bylaw and the tax incentive draft. Skateboard park is being or has been unloaded onto the tennis court, and I spoke to Nathan today, and he. I think he volunteered Councilor Corey too.
Yeah, there's the reason I'm so red and burning.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it's very exciting. We've talked to legal, we've talked to insurance. We've got the signs ready to go up. The 2 man doors will stay open to the 24/7. Our insurance has indicated that we put in insurance. The word I'm looking for. It's been a long day. No, we just had to upgrade our equipment addition. Thank you. To include the skateboard park as part of liability. They also indicated insurance and legal that any volunteers that want to work on the skateboard park, set it up, have a committee. They just have to come to me for a letter, just letting them know they're a volunteer for the town, working the skateboard park, and that satisfies insurance and legal liability. So I think that's pretty simple to do. So very thrilled that former Councillor Nathan and current Councillor Corey are going to be our skateboard aficionados, and it's going to be exciting to see.
My hip can only hold up to so many days in a row of it. I don't know. I'm sore. There's only a few hours that I'm sore. Yeah.
And of course, we talked about the fruit trees tonight, so I won't go over that. Of course, we talked about the Water for Life grant, and that's exciting. This program now meeting with the county regarding the recreation master plan in August, and we will have a trail plan as well that will work with communities in Bloom on, so that we can bring that in line with the MOU. We're working with the water treatment plant professionals on what needs to be fixed in the water treatment plant. Our main online chlorine analyzer is not functioning. It's the original one. It came with the plant and it's also obsolete. So we need this as part of our monitoring program, probably 4,000 to 5,000 for a new one, and Dave and Don solicited quote. Had lots of visits again this last month in the CAO's office. Had some more today. Also had a young lady that rides her bike back and forth every day. She's the granddaughter of the lady that owns the pet store, and so she likes it.
Oh,
Really likes it.
It almost ran you over.
Yeah,
yesterday.
it almost took me out yesterday.
I was like, first it was you that was gonna be taken out, then I was scared she was gonna be taken out as she veered towards the car. I was like, oh my lord.
What a sweetheart. Anyway, she's learned to do it safely, so she's riding her bike, so she's been real sweet. Policy work at the beginning, and of course, you've seen the commercial tax incentive policy as a bylaw, and it was on deck for tonight. And it impacts budget and comes with financial responsibility. So we benchmarked it, and we'll bring some more next cow. We're just committed with more financial policies for next cow. And when I say this at the end of my report, I truly mean it. It's a pleasure and privilege to work with this municipality, and it's my sincere gratitude to the entire staff team and the summer students who work hard every day to make this better. And we've got a great team. I say it every time, and I truly think we have a heck of a good team. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions?
Sure. Report. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for the month of July, my focus has been on following tasks. So July has been a very busy month with a significant jump in property maintenance notices going out due to all the moisture in June, and obviously the heat that followed in July. So I continue to focus on addressing overgrowth of grasses, weeds, tree branches, lots in the alleyway, and getting residents and communities to buy in to that will take a little bit of time to achieve, but educating along the way and talking to them the best I can to just talk about the importance of it. The office received an official business license in July and continues to work in that area. I sent out 12 notice letters with pictures to property owners to maintain yards. And then that followed with 8 remedy orders. One order to remedy completed by the contractor, so that follows past the expiry date. So I forced a cleanup on property, and that's how it goes. The remaining met the deadline to complete the file. We did grant an extension on one, but we are happy to comply. Some of them just waited till the very end. So I'm glad we're getting it. Filling all areas of the community to try to maintain what we're seeing is a lot of thistle and a lot of weed or activity in the community, and setting up shops in all areas of the community. So that's a big part of my focus right now, is just reminding residents to take down those thistles and discard of the weed. Currently there are 4 contractors on file, and they are in a rotation. Property cleanup is required through bylaw enforcement. Out of 73 files started in July, 45 have been concluded and closed, 20 remain open and are at different stages of being addressed or completed. If you scoot on over to the table, you obviously see there's been a little bit of a jump up in traffic bylaws. The jump with traffic was just mainly in regards to people parking trailers on the streets. So I'm talking to people verbally and just reminding them that they have to do their best to not park for long periods of time. They're hauling trailers on the street. Animal control bylaw, I just had, and actually for the month of July, it's been relatively quieter than normal, with only 2 big files being a big problem. As you can see, a lot of the majority of my focus has been on tree standards bylaw. A lot of that's with grass, tree branches, overgrown grass. at 52. Land use bylaw with respect to the one, that was a development permit that I noticed there was not one taken out. So I visited the business and was happy to hand him the one. Talking to people about permitting, obviously, parking, general bylaw inquiries continue to come in. A lot of people just don't know the bylaw, so I'm happy to answer those questions. And I believe we did get 2 more improvements of things. So a total of 73. And yeah, out of the 40 properties, 14. I've observed quite a few properties, 17. Noticed noticed order for them some compliance issues, contract agreement for 1, filed open for me, files concluded 45. That completes my report. I can answer any questions.
I didn't know we got 2 specific.
Specifications only because, I wasn't sure if I had to make more comments in my report. So
Oh, okay, okay.
That's all.
I just wasn't sure where they belong.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to reference them as weeds or something.
They're all natural area. So,
Barry's also gonna do a big bunny roundup too here pretty soon. Sorry, go ahead.
but they're all coming, there's sort of shortly.
I guess my only question is, and I have no idea if it has any validity in any way, shape, or form, but one of the complaints I received a couple of times was as far as we were talking with contractors who are doing cleanup. I've heard from a couple people that the rumor is at least that you and or a company you own are one of the contractors. Is Barry Rash and or a company Barry Rash owns one of the contractors who is doing cleanups of bylaw issues?
That's a very interesting.
I don't know the answer, one way or the other, I don't know the answer, but I'm asking it several times.
No affiliation with any of the contractors.
Maybe fill in or something.
The CEO interviewed them all, so.
Okay, I don't, I had no idea, but I actually have been asked several times, so just so we're all very clear.
Our kids are too late.
Probably, I was not involved in the, or in the hiring of the contractors. All information goes to Donna, and I work with that list, and we put it through a rotation.
Perfect, like I said, is there an insinuation that Barry and or a company he owns is now doing the cleanups and grass? I said, I've never heard this, I don't think so, but hey, I figured I'd have you right here, so let's just cut to the bottom of it.
To dispel that.
Okay, perfect.
Please go back and clarify.
It's Thorsby AB. Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead.
You have to monitor that for a month. Like,
We need historical.
yeah. It's intermittent, it's still a pain in the ass, for my expression, but it's just, I mean, it's ongoing for us, but it's intermittent, so we started logging it, it stopped, it starts getting stopped, that's just, I just wondered, like, if it has to be, then.
A week is probably okay to go on, 2 weeks would be better, but we'll do our best, right? The challenge that we have with bark dogs is they don't agree with
The people.
being a nuisance outside of their neighbors.
Well, they aren't home.
So, every barking issue that I come across,
Yeah.
they always will deny it, that is an issue. And then secondly, they don't agree with what I'm doing. So, I try to work with everybody to either relocate or keep the dog in, or some dogs go into kind of a panic mode of sorts.
Yeah, I just wondered how sad.
Yeah, I will work with anybody and everybody will on both sides to try to rectify the issue. I think that's irritating really quickly.
And you had something? Yeah, I've already expressed my concern about grassland, that I would mention that a lot of the people, not just the contractors, but some residents, spewing the grass out onto the sidewalk or into the ditches, when the grass is long. And of course, it follows its way down to the ditch drains and plugs them up and all the rest. So if there is a lot of evidence around a lot of the sidewalks at present from dead old dry grass,
that's one thing that, we, kind of, just put a lasso around and straighten them as well.
Yeah, I think we put the conversation about grass cutting not going on the street twice. More work needs to be done on that, and then there's the part of, we'll probably have to start hammering them a little bit harder, which they won't like, because people have really bad habits. So, it's about educating, and it's gonna be about correcting poor habits, right? So, that will take some time. Doing the best. And just everybody's done it for years, right? That's the challenge we have. That's what I get at every door. Well, we've done it forever, so why can't we do it now? So,
I noticed in the city that they're starting to put collars on the catch basin.
I saw that too.
Yeah, they're colored collars. I thought it was a horse collar, so it looks like it's a Hanes collar. And it sits right over the catch basin to catch all the grass around the outside. I guess they're having the same problem in the youth as well, so.
Like a spill liner.
Yeah.
Goes around there.
Yeah, it looks like one of those collars if you have a concussion or broke your neck or something. That's pretty cool, actually.
All right, well, thank you, Barry. I'll just quickly, for the summer students there, just, and fair report, I'm just gonna say that, the summer students are doing a great job cutting the grass. Got lots of compliments from, especially like the cemetery, they were really happy. That was the, contractor, I guess, but still, they're doing lots of that. They're doing everything we've asked of them, they're critically trustworthy, they're learning a lot of skills for them, so it's good for them, they get along well. They've been there on time, they don't take any time off, and, the public works is more than pleased with summer students, so I think it's good for everybody, so that's great there.
Congratulations to Webb, Cole, and Corbin. I've been down there quite a few times. Once a week, I'm down there talking to them and working with them. And they, one night we had time to go home. We were just sitting outside the back talking. We please go home. Oh, we didn't know we could. Please go home. Just great folks at Public Works, and I know Kelly has hers as well. I appreciate you reading that, Mr. Mayor, because it's an amazing we have this year with our summer team. That's great. So, and then next would be Kelly Crowe.
Hey, back here. So summer programs, we started those the week of July 4th. The Duke County hosted week one camp at our facility the very first week, which was great because we set as a training and mentorship for our summer staff. So it really kind of set the tone of how to interact with the kids, parents, etc. And then Michaela and her summer staff have been hosting camps every week since then. So for our 3 weeks, we had 148 kids come through our door for our camp, plus the Duke County kids, so that's probably another 20, 25, I'm not sure off the top of my head. So roughly like 160 kids that we've had in July alone. I looked back in 2019, we had 128, so it's good. It's a little bit higher, but we want more, but they've been gaining momentum for sure as we've been doing them and selling out. And so this week is totally sold out, I believe. We purchased a new basketball room and a full net system. So we already had the net system, it just needed a room. So that will be put on one end of the tennis court. Right now it's on the wrong end, but it'll move to one side, so it'll kind of be multi-purpose somewhat. We have safe locking solutions come out in July, so they do all of our locks and whatnot, and they service our doors. So all of our exterior doors needed servicing in our interior fire doors. So we have those all done and necessary repairs are completed. Updated our AED machines to the building, so all the parts, batteries, have been on back order since COVID. Our summer students had a quiet day, so we're looking to work staining our displays and picnic tables at the recreation ground. We finalized the agreement with, as you know, with Arctic Spas. So I'm sending an invoice out for that first payment here shortly. Our active membership for the weight room for July are 52 compared to 2019. So yeah, quite a bit. And we're still getting really good people coming through. And that'll probably pick up again in September when summer is over and whatnot. I met with the Duke County Fire Services just to determine the capacity and fire code rules for the host of major events. So that was a good meeting and gotten up with our hard number and our rules to make it work. Yeah, we have a new Arctic Falls Recreation Complex Facebook page. If you haven't seen it, please take a look and give a like and follow. And because we're gonna try to filter all of our information through that page rather than constantly going on the Thorsby Alberta page and starting things out. So just have one source of information. So right now we're kind of doing double duty on both, but just to try to build up our numbers. So we've also started the renewal process for our arena board advertising and covering some nice logos. We sold the Zamboni, sold a couple of businesses on nice logos, we sold a couple of new businesses on arena boards. So far, most of our businesses are renewing our existing businesses. So they have until August 15th for that deadline. So, but it's good. At least there's interest in it, and we're still working through the process of having our alarm and fob system installed. So it turned out that Rogers outage that everybody experienced that one day, well, it completely took out our 3G network. And if that wasn't a high priority for Rogers to fix because they were working with a real big network. So it took a full week, actually. We were down without software and stuff, and we didn't even really know. So yeah. But it's all been fixed, and now we're going through the upgrades and stuff, and so we're just working on a couple network things, but the new software is pretty awesome, a lot easier. Like every time I put a membership in, like if you buy a fob, they're starting with a hash rate to it, so the day after, shut off. Like there's no room for manual error as much anymore, right? Or and it's, so that's it. Oh, no, woman. Show Michaela, sorry. This Michaela and our summer staff, they are absolutely rocking this summer. Like we have had so much positive feedback from like whether it's Facebook comments, parents coming in, phone calls, like absolutely loving the program, loving the interaction with the kids. And I think as a result of that, we're seeing our numbers go up every week, and it's really awesome. So.
Okay. And just a clarification, I did not sell the Zamboni.
The advertising.
Not sell the Zamboni.
And Kelly, I have an 11-year-old grandson that was offering if you need advice on how to share the outdoor court with the basketball and the ramp park. He has ideas for you. I was showing it to him and he's like, but how's this gonna work? And then he was telling me how it should work.
Thank you. Then, yes, Michaela. Nice to see you here. Thank you.
Good evening. So I had 6 client meetings over the month of July. One of them was a health meeting with a client that she comes into town, and she has mobility issues. So myself and actually Sarah from the WSS were with me. I also talked to Sarah about just upcoming planning, community awareness, social calls, everything like that. We're going to do the SPSS along with the training, as I wanted to change and train under the active for people. We're also setting up, we were going to attend the senior meeting at the end of July, but we could not make it, so we're hoping to do so next month. And myself and Jackie and Donna set out a advisory board application for the SPSS report, and now we're now public, so we can myself. And that's it as well.
Thank you. Question.
Do you have a date set in mind for the community awareness?
That is still in progress, so hopefully sometime in September, I have been thinking about starting this daily on internet.
Go doing it with the school, or planning on doing it with the school as a year, or trying something different?
The school doesn't want to work.
The cultural event is September 24th, and it might be too late for community awareness. They need to get all of their registrations in before. But she has been beginning of for some reason, right? So when you want. So coffee you had to have a biology first. Oh.
Priority and data development time, many events in September.
We'll go right to Jesse then.
For the month of July, we can spend the following activities. I've been working on organizing and bringing bylaws into the line of the meeting and evaluation. I think that will be the consent of draft season bylaws, or draft season services bylaw, and should be one of the templates for it. Hopefully going forward, that will remain our template. I've been working on maintenance plans for both public works and the water treatment. Currently working on progress. It's just slow, I've been finishing a project. I've been creating packages for both the community and regular companies for the month of July. I've been maintaining records and organization every month. I've been assisting our contract development officer with the experience on development, as well as providing her information with to approve development projects and compliance certificates. I've been making payments, answering phones, and assisting the residents that come in. And my big project, I've been populating an agenda program for taking every single agenda from 2021, manually extracting each and every agenda item into their own file, and then putting that section into the online agenda format. Easier shown than explained. All agendas prior to 2022 and 2021 will be added to the file and does not require this manual extraction, but does require detailed organization and policy development program for easy access. This is made difficult at times by many missing agendas and minutes that are missing signatures, to which are unable to be found. 2017, for example, does not have a single accounted for assigned committee of the whole set of minutes that I've been able to find that several physically. Trying to find or account for these issues takes up quite a bit of time, and that's why the program has missed my release schedule, which is hopefully in time for this counseling. This is just one example of all the documentation that's come up.
I just have a question. It says that you're working on the maintenance plans for public works and the water treatment plan. What does that mean?
So, every single piece of equipment that they consider to be
Like asset.
yeah, like asset maintenance.
So you're just looking at when it was done, when it needs to be done, you're gonna track that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, we'll have a master sheet for all the assets, who they're serviced by, how many times they should be serviced, whether it's annually, whether it's every 5 years, whether they need replacement parts, whether they should have spare parts in case something goes wrong. That includes risk assessment on whether, is it absolutely necessary that it's done, or can we hold off a little bit on the budget? And then each and every single piece of maintenance on every single equipment will also have their own template and sheet. That will inform anybody that comes in, what needs to be done, when is the last time it was done, when is the next time we're expecting it to be done. That way, if there are any needs until we level with that, they don't have to guess. They can go and they can look at the master sheet and they can look at all the individual forms for every individual piece of equipment and say, I'm going to do it.
Go ahead, Arnie.
And I'd just like to say to Jessie that I've spoken to her a number of times on the phone with a question or a concern, and she answers me immediately. I have no trouble with her. Everything she says is great, and I think we should do the business for working for.
I can't do it without her. All right, well, that concludes our CA reports. Can I get a, that's all the CA reports from 4.1 to 4.7 is information?
Are we waiting for Cindy to do hers first, Daryl?
So what, she's on her own?
She's on her own. She stands alone.
Yeah, she's down to the.
I'll make that motion.
Is carried. All right, CFO report.
Okay.
A variance report, but I don't know what I put.
Okay, so this is what I have entered so far. There's probably still, well, no, there is. So wages, benefits, fuel, power and gas, and some other expenses have yet to be entered. So I calculated quickly, probably close to $1 million with wages and benefits being 500,000 and power and gas being 200,000. So, it's just, it's a lot. Now I have to go through payroll and with the journal entry and journal entry every single payroll. So it's this time. So even with $1 million, we're still doing well. We're under budget for expenses. Going the line. The bank balance as of July 31st in our operating accounts, there was $927,222.07. In the savings account, there was $1,308,769.25 for a total of $2,235,981.13. The current balance for reserves is $1,062,000 or $1,062,819.24. So the difference is $1,180,008 what our operating cash is right now. Outstanding balances as of August 4th, so utility accounts that are in arrears total $35,565.55. There is 2 people on the list that have been cut off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 on there that are on payment plan that have been writing signed. If they don't appear, they will be disconnected. I believe there probably be more disconnection. Well, there will be, because I can see from this report that more people are going to hit the disconnection notice. So that was August 4th that we did this thing. So she's still going. I don't know what. And then property taxes, the ones that are in arrears, not on the TIPS program, is $143,646.61.
Is that from this year?
That's their total that's outstanding. So, like Jonah said, there's 2 that are going for tax sale or going to start the process, and there's probably more that are going to be on that list. There's some that have outstanding balances from 2019. So they can start the process.
What properties have their giving the lawyers that they gave you the amount on the which is a good thing.
Yeah. One is yeah. We're working on it. That's that. Now, so along with all the regular reviews that I do every month, getting GT back up and running, all that stuff. So in the preparation for the audit over the last 8 months and delving into all the things, I have discovered the following long things. There are minimal documented processes or policies for how to manage the financial component of the municipality. This is extremely detrimental to the performance of the municipality. Fiscal policy is one of the most important pieces to an organization. Financial policies ensure that management and staff are on the same page and that it's a clear understanding of how duties and functions are carried out. Without this in place, chaos ensues, which from my investigation has been the case for several years. The auditor's report of deficiencies from past audits has not been followed up on, and those in charge of governance have not ensured that the municipality has taken the steps to rectify these and begin to function in a more prudent and efficient manner. This has cost the municipality extra money in audit fees and allowing the dysfunction to continue year after year. The past administration was running 2 sets of books, one set in QuickBooks, one set in GT. The revenue between the 2 sets of books has never balanced. Starting in July, all revenue was plugged in QuickBooks in order to make the bank statements work. This has caused an extreme amount of work to balance the 2 sets of books and ensure that transactions are accounted for and recorded properly.
QuickBooks Online is not capable of handling a municipality's accounting needs. It's not able to bill utilities or taxes. Its functions are limited, and I'm at a loss as to why one would switch to that while still maintaining the GP software to bill the revenue. The extra software has cost the municipality over $1,000 since being in place. Past administration had no segregation of duties. Segregation of duties is an internal control that assigns various steps in the process to different people. The intent behind it is to eliminate instances in which someone could engage in threats or fraudulent activities by having an excessive amount of control over a process. Auditors look for this as part of their analysis of an organization's systems of internal controls and will downgrade their judgment of the system if there are any segregation. As they will assume that there's an expanded risk of fraud and adjust their proceedings accordingly. The town of Thorsby had the same person approving expenditures, making payments, reconciling bank statements, approving and entering all entries into the system. In discussion with the auditors, they were under the impression that the CFO position would be refilled, so they were quite shocked when I informed them that the position was in essence eliminated and one person was responsible for all duties. An updated financial report has not been provided to council since the meeting held on September 7th, 2021 for the period ending June 30th, 2021. I understand that this is the first variance report we have seen for 2022. However, there have been extenuating circumstances on a go-forward basis. There will be an updated variance report at all town meetings. A double payment and overpayment of wages to one employee by past administration was discovered when going through personnel files. This employee was paid as a contractor up to and including December 31st, 2020, where pension and vacation were accrued, which is not normally done as a contractor, and no paperwork contract indicating that this was the case. On the invoice, the town of Thorsby was charged for 16 days when there was only 14 working days in the period from December 12th to 31st. Then on the first payroll in January of 2021 was paid a full 70 hours for the pay period beginning December 27th, 2020, which equates to 4 days of double payment and 2 days of overpayment. This cost the municipality $3,653.12, and there was no authorization on the invoice indicating it was going to be over purchasing of supplies and orders from Amazon, Costco, Staples have been discovered. I am not clear on what was all purchased, as I have having trouble locating the receipts at this time. There were so many supplies that one of our suppliers asked if we were project buying, and we have not had to purchase. We've had to purchase extremely minimal supplies for the last 2 months and still have excessive amounts to go. So we won't have to buy toilet paper for 3 years. There are double entries of expenses that are recorded in QuickBooks file, resulting in cleanup of accounts and time and hours to double check all the information. Also, lack of documentation, receipts for expenses is prevalent, which according to the auditors has been an ongoing occurrence. Over the past 8 months, I have continually been receiving unpaid invoices from the 2021 fiscal year. I have had to pay one from 2020 that was not paid. Upon my arrival in the municipality, there was a notice of disconnection for the monitoring line at the river intake, and if it had not been paid in months, it could have resulted in catastrophic consequences for the town. Recording of grant expenditures was not sufficient and difficult to follow. Also, grants were not reported properly or not at all. Spent hours reconciling grant spending in order to save the funding for the municipality. One grant had to get special permission from the government for an amendment, as the work reported in the application was not the work that was completed. One other grant was given back because we could not corroborate the information in the application with the work done. We have had to ask the Minister of Municipal Affairs to extend our audit period to September 30th, 2022, as the state of the financial information as reported above was not sufficient to go to audit. Documents were dumped into boxes, information scattered between offices, and some are even missing, making it very difficult to bring the books up to my professional standards. The final payroll of 2021 was done December 13th, 2021, and had to be amended as estimates for hours were used. This meant all P4s had to be rerun at a cost to the municipality because incomplete information was used. Pension remittances were behind, and pension was out of balance by approximately $4,000. We had had overcollected from some employees, meaning those money needs to be reimbursed, and P4s amended with correct information regarding pension funds. Union dues were in arrears. The union agreement was not adhered to regarding hours of pay and on-call pay. On-call pay was arbitrarily dismissed by previous administration, causing issues for the municipality and extra costs due to dispatch service being hired. This could have resulted in very dangerous and detrimental situations for the municipality and or its residents. We've spent countless hours rectifying these mistakes and working with the union to repair the damaged relationship. And then 16, it says 47,000, but it's actually 25,000 in software that we have had to cancel or at a cost due to insufficient capabilities, unusable or not required. No budget had been established and no documentation from the previous budget has been found. The 2021 budget was a very high arcing budget that has not been broken down into departments or categories. It consisted of 28 lines with no explanation of what was included. Preparing a property tax bylaw for 2022, it was uncovered that bylaws going back to 2018, that's as far back as I went, did not balance. We also discovered that the rates on the property tax bylaw in 2019 were not the rates charged on the property tax notices. They were less, costing the municipality money. Arrears taxes were not followed up on and tax sale protocol was not followed, resulting in the municipality carrying the cost of unpaid taxes. We have at a minimum 2 tax sales that should have already been acted upon, and we are reviewing the rest of starting procedures after the MGA. Utility arrears and shutoffs have not always been followed, resulting in the municipality carrying the cost of unpaid utilities. Penalties were found to be waived on an ad hoc basis. This has cost the municipality money as well as time. The town paid the previous administration's error and omissions insurance not required as an employee is covered under the municipality's insurance, and CPA made use of failure to report on time to a total cost of approximately $1,000. So as you can see, life in the CFO position over the last 8 months has been busy and full of challenges, surprises, and a lot of shock that a public organization was in this state. I've spent a lot of hours attempting to make something out of the extreme mess I inherited. Coming into this situation where there's no documentation, processes, policies, guidance, or information is very difficult. The team and I have had to investigate past situation and determine what needs to be fixed, clean up the mess of paperwork left behind, get the financial information ready for audit, establish how to go forward, create a budget from nothing, begin building a financial foundation through policies and procedures that streamline the accounting function, rectify wrongs and repair relationships, take through council motion and minutes to establish what was supposed to have happened versus what did happen. All this is coming to you today after 8 long months, as I wanted to be sure that I had a good handle on the situation and can answer any questions that you have regarding all this information. I am also happy to report that we are taking steps to rectify the deficiencies of the past and move the town authorities forward with policies and procedures that create a transparent, logical, and efficient financial department. Building this foundation will prepare the municipality for all the amazing things coming its way. Thorsby is a great town I've enjoyed through the chaos, working on turning it around and creating an organization that will function efficiently and appropriately.
Oh,
Amen.
when are the auditors coming?
Tuesday.
This Tuesday.
So these are the deficiencies you've, and then the auditors are gonna come back and tell us what we need to do to fix.
Yeah, and in talking with her last week, she said that last year was chaos too. Like there's always been, they've had to call suppliers for invoices and they're missing, like just documentation is hasn't been a priority, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, like, to me, it's kind of common sense. You put it in for a thing, you write a check, you take a check stub, you put it in a file folder.
And you have like 8 accounts payable, accounts receivable.
Yeah. But it's that's, you know, accounting 101. But so it's, and I've read the like auditor's report from 2019, and they're the same. Like the same deficiencies, so nothing has been acted upon. And really that's council's job, once they get the audit report, to ensure that the deficiencies are being rectified.
Because I was gonna ask you that. I said, like, when it was talking about segregation of duties, because in my mind, I truly believe that the CAO, CFO position should be 2 separate.
They have to be, they have to be.
Because I mean, we're just asking for trouble, and I don't know.
What happened? Somebody got paid twice. Like, that shouldn't happen.
And that can't be.
That can't, because the same person has the authority, like, doing everything.
Well, good.
And nobody signed
second,
off, like,
second set of eyes.
signatures. Yeah, like,
And it can't be recovered or repaired or
Nope.
gone.
And then my other question was, any idea when you're gonna be able to just work out a GP?
Well, it won't happen until the audit's done, because I need all the final balances.
Yeah.
Right, to put in.
Yeah, I'm thinking
And then-
like by next.
Yeah, like honestly, QuickBooks hasn't, I opened it to work on last year, I don't put anything from last year. Like, I don't put anything from this year in QuickBooks, I hate QuickBooks, you know, so. So yeah, everything is going into GP, right? So, it's just the stuff that has to be, like, so now just these things, but everything now is being entered as I get it. And stuff, and there's no backlog as far as all the expenses, I think, pretty much. Most of them have been entered. The main things is just.
So when it comes to this audit, what happens when you don't pass the audit?
Well, in talking to Jeanette, she said basically the municipality or the government, municipal affairs would say, keep doing more work so they can pass.
Like just start working on the deficiencies.
Oh, I-
Keep going,
yeah.
keep looking, keep.
I mean, nothing gets shut down, it's just, it's
No,
not.
it's just basically
not a
their,
desirable situation. but-
they will have to do more work. And in discussions with her, based on like the state and all that stuff, I did put it. I did up it because I knew that it was gonna be bad. And, in talking with her, that it could be more than what I put in the budget. So, she will know more after coming here next week. And so by the next council meeting, I should have a better idea of if their scope of work is gonna change, which I know it is. So,
And presumably the person that got double paid doesn't work there anymore?
right.
Wait, focused on
Is it possible to, it's really unfortunate that this happened for our town, and this person that was doing this was supposed to be a professional CPA. Is it possible to do the municipality to do something so this doesn't happen to somebody else? Because like, we don't want to put anybody else into this position. I don't know if there's any way to. But again, I know you can't talk legal stuff anyway, but I just, as a taxpayer and a resident, I think that it's important that, you know, someone is held accountable for this, because this is not good, right?
There are measures like CPA Alberta is there to govern.
So can we report them?
Yeah, we can.
And so do you have to report them, or how does it work?
Well, you'd have to have the evidence and all that stuff, so, I guess after the audit,
Okay.
after we finish everything, like I, as a fellow CPA, would
Mhm.
have zero issues. Because it's been a negotiation. So,
Anybody have any other questions? Maybe you have a comment?
I want to talk about, I heard, and then I went and picked up a target that states as of January 1st, you're no longer allowed to write checks out for your posted checks for your taxes. Are you going to be sending me an invoice every month, like my water bill? So I can go to the bank and pay this monthly? Because I do not let anybody go into my bank account. Nobody does that. I do not have any payments coming out of my account. I do that myself. So either you take checks or you send me an invoice.
I'll talk to Donna, because I wasn't here last week. when we-
Well, we'll get that, I don't know.
We'll get back.
We'll get it on, that's an administrative thing here, and, so you're saying that coming every month, you want to give post-dated checks?
I have given post-dated checks for years, and come January, I never know what my taxes are gonna be. So I always make my checks out for more than what I paid in June, July, August, and September. But if they don't wanna do that anymore, you either send me an invoice, or you are to actually trying to eliminate people, because I've heard people say they won't accept checks anymore. Why? I do. Well, they tell me no. That's bullshit. Anywhere else you can pay by a check.
I mean, Debbie, if you want to come, I mean, Donna, maybe you can talk about the, because I wasn't here when we put it in the target, postage check.
Yeah, we talked about the ability to administer them, that's the problem. And, we don't want to make a habit of it. Come see us, Debbie. Come see us.
If you don't want to take my post-dated check, you send me an invoice every month, like you do my water bill, and I will pay it at the bank.
Fair comment. We'll talk to you. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other comments before we,
Another thing, Gerald, they say that there's still $35,000 in arrears for water bills and that. Did Robert pay his water bill?
we got that all straightened out.
And he paid the full amount?
We got it straightened out, yep, we came to an agreement there.
Those are two different words. She asked if he paid it. You said we got it straightened out. Did you give him a deal that I'm unaware of, or did he pay his water bill? There's a very different answer.
Yes, I'd like
Getting it
to know.
straightened out applies to me as a resident, that you cut him a deal. Did he
Oh,
pay it or
Robert,
did you?
right, he paid it.
Okay, because those are two different statements. Those are two different answers.
It's an administration thing.
Yeah, he paid the amount that was determined he owed.
Okay.
Dream still.
Yeah, we made it, we got it straightened out. It's not a yes. That's a very ambiguous answer.
That was an administration thing and whatever.
But yeah, he did pay the amount that was determined that he owed. So.
But how did you know what,
Well, we had it tested and we did all our due diligence and we came up with an amount.
So it wasn't the 13,000 or the 1,300 that was quoted?
Well, we're not gonna say what he paid or what he didn't pay. The bill was paid.
The bill was paid for what it was determined, the water usage was.
That's correct.
Yes, he was paid for what he used.
That's right. The engineer determined that.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, what flowed, yeah. Or what went through the meter, actually.
Anything else? Irene?
Yeah, continuing with this, my last month's water bill was over $300. Now, if I talk to you, can you determine that the amount I owe is 200 and I'll come in and pay 200?
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I was just gonna ask, it's over typically what you typically pay.
No,
Well, we would-
120 or something like that.
We would come in and test the meter, take a look at the meter. Determine if you have a leak or not, maybe you have a leak something, maybe a toilet's leaking or something, I don't know. But we can talk to public works, they can come in and take a look at the meter.
That's not this month, right? That was last month.
Yes, 300 and something.
I can give you an example, actually, at work, when a kid was in our bathroom and the toilet was running overnight, my bill is always there for $94.60. It was $170 for it running just overnight. That was it. It was, yeah, we found it in the morning and it happened about 4 o'clock. So it's amazing how much water can go if you have a slow leak or anything. Yeah, it happens.
Mr. Mayor, just a point of order for me, I'm keeping in contact with our in-camera guests, so I have my phone open, and so that I can let them know.
So, can I get a motion to accept the CFA report for information?
I made a motion to accept the CFO person.
All in favor? And then that's it. So then, we need to take, I need a motion to, take a quick recess. And then we'll come back in camera.
I'll move that we take the recess and resume in camera.
Thank you. All in favor?
Excellent.
All of them were good. Yeah, but there's lots to read.
Okay.